The frontier station of New Cheyenne hung in the void like a rusted memory of Earth's Old West, its rotating habitats creaking with stories of 1,000 species seeking new beginnings. Ava stood in the immigration hall, her obsidian scales catching the artificial sunlight in ways that made other beings look away. She was beautiful by draconian standards, elegant horns swept back from her temples, eyes like molten amber, wings folded tight against her back beneath a travel cloak. But she was also 43 cycles old, and in the mail-order bride system that connected lonely colonists with desperate refugees, that made her ancient. The Centaurian merchant who'd paid her transit fees took one look at her documentation, sneered at her age, and walked away without a word. Ava had expected this. She'd known the risks when she fled her dying homeworld, when she'd sold everything for a chance at a new life among the stars. The younger draconian females had been chosen first, snapped up by wealthy traders and corporation executives. Ava and the other aged females, anyone over 30 cycles, had been left with the dregs. Men seeking servants, not partners or worse. She stood there in the processing center, her small travel case at her feet, watching families reunite and new couples meet for the first time. No one looked at her. No one wanted a middle-aged dragon woman with silver beginning to thread through her dark scales, with lines of experience around her eyes that spoke of a life already lived. "Ma'am, you all right?" The voice was rough, warm like desert sand, and entirely human. Ava turned to find a man watching her with genuine concern in his blue eyes. He wore clothing that seemed deliberately anachronistic, denim trousers, leather boots, a hat that Earth historians called a Stetson. His face was weathered, probably in his 50s by human standards, with a silver-shot beard and the kind of quiet strength that comes from years of hard work. "I am unselected," Ava said carefully, her translator chip rendering her words in standard English. "My sponsor has rejected me." The human's jaw tightened. "Because of your age?" She nodded once, surprised by the anger in his tone. Anger that seemed directed at her rejector, not at her. "That's a damn fool's choice," he said, then seemed to catch himself. "Pardon my language, ma'am. Name's Neo. I run a terraforming homestead on Kepler 442b. Been looking for a partner myself, but the agencies keep sending me girls young enough to be my granddaughter." He shook his head. "Don't want a child. Want someone who knows who they are, who's lived enough to know what matters." Ava stared at this strange human. In all her research about the various species accepting refugees, humans had been listed as one of the most unpredictable. They didn't have the Centaurians' obsession with youth, or the Crystalline Collective's rigid compatibility matrices. Humans chose partners based on criteria that baffled xenoanthropologists: humor, kindness, something they called chemistry. "You are seeking a bride?" she asked carefully. "Seeking a partner," Neo corrected gently. "Someone to build a life with. The homestead's beautiful. Red soil, purple sky, 2 moons. But it's lonely. I've got 300 acres of gene-modified wheat, a small herd of Earth-origin cattle adapted for the atmosphere, and a house I built with my own hands. It's simple, but it's honest work." He paused, studying her face with an intensity that made her breath catch. "You've got the look of someone who's worked hard their whole life," he continued. "Someone who knows the value of things. Someone who wouldn't be afraid of dirt under their nails or starting over." He pulled off his hat, holding it respectfully. "So here's what I'm thinking, ma'am. That fool who walked away from you just made the biggest mistake of his life, and I'd be honored, truly honored, if you'd consider a different offer." Ava's translator chip struggled with the emotional subtext in his words. Was he mocking her? But his eyes held no cruelty, only sincerity. "What offer?" she whispered. Neo stepped closer, still respectful of her space, but close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his blue eyes. "Then be mine," he said simply. "Not as a mail order anything. As a partner. As an equal. Come see the homestead, give it a month, and if you don't like it, if you don't like me, I'll pay for your transport anywhere else in the sector. No strings. But if you do like it." He smiled, and it transformed his weathered face. "Well, I make a pretty decent apple pie, I'm told. And I've always wondered what a dragon lady would think of earth horses." Around them, the immigration hall bustled with life. But Ava felt suspended in this moment. She'd expected rejection. She'd expected to end up in some labor camp or service job, grateful for survival if nothing else. She hadn't expected this. A human who looked at her age and saw value, who looked at her obvious foreignness and saw possibility. "Why?" she asked. "You know nothing about me." "I know you're brave," Neo said immediately. "Brave enough to leave everything behind and cross the stars for a chance at something better. I know you've been rejected for something that's actually a strength, experience, wisdom, resilience. And I know that anyone who's lived 43 cycles and still has hope shining in their eyes is someone worth knowing." He extended his hand, that peculiar human gesture of greeting and agreement.
"So what do you say, Ava?"
"Want to give this old cowboy a chance?" She looked at his hand, calloused, honest, steady, and then at his face. In draconian culture, partnerships were arranged by family councils, determined by bloodline compatibility and genetic optimization. It was practical, efficient, and utterly joyless. This human offered something her people had lost generations ago: choice, hope, the possibility that she might matter for who she was, not what genetic benefits she could provide. Slowly, Ava reached out and placed her clawed hand in his. His grip was warm, strong, and careful of her talons. "I will come see your homestead," she said, "and taste this apple pie." Neo's grin could have powered the station's reactors. "Ma'am, you've just made me the luckiest man in 3 systems." As they walked toward the departure gates together, a dragon lady and a human cowboy, an unlikely pair in an unlikely universe, Ava felt something she hadn't experienced in years: hope. Not the desperate hope of survival, but the warm hope of possibility. Behind them, the Centaurian merchant who'd rejected her watched them go, shaking his head at the inexplicable nature of humans. He'd never understand that what he saw as a liability, age, experience, a life already lived, was exactly what made Ava perfect for a man who valued substance over surface. In the vast darkness of space, on a terraformed world with red soil and purple skies, a new story was beginning, and for once it was a story where being yourself exactly as you were was enough.